100K to 1 mil to 1 mil plus was pretty easy, but the 0 to 100K, everyone's telling you to do different things. You don't know who's genuinely trying to help you. Let's say someone watching this, how do you think someone or the best strategy to get from 0 to 100K if you were to start again?
It's a really good question. I'd say I completely agree. The first 100K is super hard. That's probably the hardest. That is definitely the hardest. It's much harder than 100K to a mil, much harder than a mil to 10 mil. So once I made my first million, the next millions came much faster. Number one, I think there's specific industries where you can make money faster working for companies. Sales, I love sales. Sales you can do really well at, and you can make bank. You can absolutely crush and make 6 figures plus a year, and get that initial nest egg that you can reinvest back into different projects, into whether it's real estate or crypto or whatever other projects you have. So you need that initial capital. Before you go out and spend money on yourself and go buy nice things, you want to save at minimum that first 100 G's in your bank. How do you do that? The fastest way, in my opinion, is working for a company that pays very well. And what we're going to get into today is how to advertise yourself, how to promote yourself to maximize the juice. I've hired probably over 300 people just over the last few years. I've fired like 250. So I've seen a lot of CVs. Probably one of the most common things is people don't know how to advertise themselves. They have their value is here, but their perceived value is here.
Yeah.
So what's the marketplace going to pay them? The marketplace is going to pay them based on their perceived value. My advice would be, I would absolutely look at the skill sets that I have. Some of you might be in tech. Maybe you might have a tech background. You're more of the nerdy type or introverted type. Coding is fantastic. I've got guys on my team, 22, 23, making $80,000 plus a year in Eastern Europe. I have a guy in Eastern Europe. He's 23. I love him to death, this guy. He's fantastic. Young guy, started with me 3-4 years ago. And he's one of the senior engineers in our team, making 80+K a year in Ukraine.
Can I ask you how you found him and what made him stand out? Why did you hire him as a software engineer instead of someone else?
When I was first building my startup, I was scrappy and I wanted to get the most bang for the buck at the time. So you're looking at hiring people at a much cheaper rate. So I was going in Ukraine versus the US. I can pay 3K for an engineer versus 10K for the same level of output. So that's essentially what I was doing. And I hired this guy as an example. But to the example of trying to make your first 100K, there's many different industries. I look at IT. There's a lot of growth in that. And that market is expanding. There's software all around us, there's products all around us. And the pay is quite high, especially in Western markets. If you could advertise yourself to a Western company, whether Western Europe or US, you've got a huge advantage in pay. And also sales. I would say those are the top 2 ways to make your first 100 grand fast.
I definitely agree. I think there's ultimately 2 things. You got to figure out what you're good at.
Yeah.
You can either build or you can either sell.
If assessing your strengths,
yes,
right? So you can look at your own strengths. Like uniquely, we have different strengths and weaknesses, right? So doubling down on the area. If you're a fast talker, Giuliano, you know how to talk, you know how to communicate. Giuliano is a master communicator. Giuliano could go to any sales organization, command a $300,000 or $400,000 a year on target earning, right? So because you have that background, right? So just the same way, like have a good assessment. Are you more introverted? Are you more of a people person? Who are you? And
absolutely
apply that to the career choice that you make.
Yeah, for me, honestly, I don't really like talking to people that much. So I went into software. I don't want to go every single day networking with people. I'm just chill. I just want to work at home. And I think one thing a lot of people are scared of, and this is a new trend that's coming up, is AI. So I witnessed this around 1.5 years ago, around 2 years ago. AI started popping off and everyone's asking, should I learn to code? Oh, I'm not going to learn to code anymore. Well, I don't know what else they're doing. They're working at McDonald's instead.
I read there was this AI engineer, like this software thing that came out, right? There's a lot of hype around that. Can you elaborate on that and blast that as well? I think that's something that
absolutely. So the Devin, who's the first AI software engineer, just came out. So that's even creating even more fear in the people that want to get into the building skill, because they think AI is just going to know how to build for you. Just a funny thing is, when everyone was scared about AI, I had one of my students, Dina, basically, she learned to code when everyone else was scared. And now literally today, she signed a contract $150,000 a year.
If you're going to be scared, stay poor.
You're going to be scared.
Yeah, like it goes back to that saying, like the biggest risk is not taking any risks, right?
Yes.
So going back to that AI, Devin, basically, and Adam can touch on this as well. Basically, it's an amazing tool. Basically, it helps you code. Like, it's a tool for software engineers to be more efficient. So it does all the boring things, all the testing that you don't want to do, all the boring things that really make software engineering not fun, because all the repetitive shit, basically Devin just does it for you. I can understand why people are scared, but man, like, this thing has no intuition.
Talk more about intuition. Why is that an important thing?
Speaking of like this, there's certain areas you can use AI. If you want to be effective, you can use it as an assistant, but to use it as the entire replacement for your business takes a lot of scale and a lot of learning over a long period of time. But if you're scared of that, either you're a shit developer or you're just not the top 20%. If you're the bottom 20%, yeah, you should be scared. That's just going to be natural selection and the marketplace dictating the price. Essentially, if you're elite, you're always going to have demand. You're always going to have demand in any marketplace that you're in.
Why do you hire these software engineers? I'm sure there's many people watching this. They're saying the job market's shit right now. I'm not getting hired for any industry that they're in. What can they do to stand out to someone like you who's actively hiring, growing their team, doubling every month?
I want to speak on this. This is a very important piece, and this applies to the first 100K piece. I want to dive into that because that's such an important thing for you guys watching at home. If you haven't made your first 100,000, there's some really easy steps that I want to share with you just from looking at thousands and thousands of CVs and applicants of things people fuck up that I see and disqualify them versus the people that I overpay and I'm willing to pay them exactly their asking price plus. Number one, I look for candidates and people that have a high attention to detail. You'd be surprised how many CVs I get have spelling errors, grammatical errors, sentence structure, bulleting, like all these things are completely off. And on the most important piece and representation of you, you've fucked up.
Yeah.
Like literally, like that's like your first sign of who you are. You show up to an interview,
The top of
you
the
got,
funnel.
you got ketchup on your shirt's sloppy, it's untucked, and you show up for a job interview. It's the same thing. But that tells me one thing: that person's not switched on, and they have no intelligence, no emotional intelligence to understand that this representation of them in 10 minutes, you can run it through Grammarly, you can run it through some kind of checking tool, and you could have optimized it, but you didn't take that time. So you're going to make that same mistake with my company. Hell no. So I'm filtering out those people. So for you guys at home, this is one. If you have a CV and you're applying for a company, I would fairly strongly urge you to spend an hour and double check your CV, and also send it to one of your mates, send it to one of your friends, and have them like with a keen eye. Don't tell them, oh, it's good. No, like refine it as much as possible.
I have a point to add on to this as well for the CVs, because almost every day I have a new story coming to me. Hey, David, I just landed a tech job. And I basically deal with CVs a lot, and I know what works and I know what doesn't work. So basically the CVs that work, and this is why FES Institute does so well, because we focus on the CV.
Yeah.
We don't let them apply if their CV is shit. We have to approve it, and then we say, all right, now you can go and apply. We don't want to waste their time applying to hundreds of applications, getting burnt out saying, oh, the job market's shit, when there's a spelling mistake in their CV and they're blaming the job market. I think the number one thing they need to do is they need to have experience on their resume. A lot of absolute beginners, they say, look, I don't have any experience, so I'm just going to put nothing in the experience section of my resume. And then an employer looks at this and says, all right, if you don't have any experience, why am I going to hire you from scratch? All right.
Why should I take a bet on you? Why should I take a risk?
What we train our students is we train our students to make their own experience on their resume. So my students are applying to jobs with 6 to 12 months on their resume. So when they join our institution, they're starting their own software as a service, their own SaaS. And then by the time they graduate, they already have 6 months of experience. They already have 12 months of experience. Imagine you're hiring someone that just graduated university, has a degree, but has no experience. Compare that to one of my institute students who, all right, maybe doesn't have a degree, but has 12 months of commercial experience. Who would you hire?
100% the person with experience, for sure.
Yeah, so the company needs to look legit. That's the thing. You can't just have like a shitty website. You can't, put a LinkedIn, professional website with privacy policy, terms and conditions, contact, like make it look like a proper company. Say you work as a software engineer there. If you're in marketing, say you worked as a marketer there. That's probably the biggest hack. And the people that I see landing jobs are the ones with experience on their resume.
Yeah. I can add a few more key items that I think will be valuable for the listeners here to add to their CVs. Number one, specifics. Be clear in exactly what you've delivered in an X amount of time, whatever that industry is. To say, yeah, I managed a team of 12 people. I had meetings every day. Fucking boring. I do not give a single fuck about you did this. Great. No, what I really care about is specifics in those descriptions, right? So you work for X company and you look at the subheadings of the actual roles and tasks that you did. So for example, we had bi-weekly team evaluations, and as a result, our average velocity per developer increased by 12%. That's specific, that's detailed, it's clear, it's showing KPIs, it's showing that you're results oriented versus, oh, I just did meetings, or like I had bi-weekly, with daily stand-ups or something like that, right?
I think what people are forgetting is they're selling themselves to the business owner.
Yeah.
What's the business owner's number one KPI? The number one goal of the business owner is to make fucking money. So they're reading CVs, they're saying, all right, how's this person going to make me money? All right, in their last job, bang, they increased the lifetime value of their product by 20% through A/B testing their checkout page.
100%.
I'll be interested in hiring that person.
And there's more that I want to add too, because I just done this for quite a while as well. Trust me, steal this hack. I wish I could charge you guys for this, but this is a fucking nugget. I get a million CVs. Oh, Adam, here's an email with my my credentials. All right, cool. I get that. I'm flooded. So you're in direct response, so you understand this. What I would recommend is set up a Loom video in 30 seconds. If you see a company you really want to work for, hey, my name is Adam. I just attached my CV. I love your company. I love what you guys stand for. I would be working day and night to make sure that I am your guy. I can guarantee I'll get the job done. That took 30 seconds, and attached to email with the CV, you will be surprised how much you stand out. That little 30 seconds, a Loom video will get open. You can see when it's opened, and the person opened it, the person's interested. You send that to every single company. Number one, you're going to get more of a response. Number two, you're going to get a higher offer.
Man, that is fucking brilliant advice. That is absolutely brilliant advice. And it goes back to this book I was reading.
Darren Hardy.
The compound effect.
Compound effect, yeah.
And you remember in the book where he says, all right, if you're applying to a job, you need to go to that extra step. Yes. You need to show that you're not the same as everyone else. You need to show them that you're going to be working day and night to help them grow the business. And in return, you're going to be obviously getting money. You're going to learn. You're going to be able to climb up the ranks.
They're thinking what I need. I want a 6-figure job, but they're not thinking what you said, which is how can the number one stand out? Number two, think outside the box. And number three, bring value first before being hired. Everyday people have the same opportunities that other people. The only reason why they're not getting any opportunities is my personal belief. It's number one, they're lazy. Number two, they're not thinking outside the box. When you think outside the box and you're able to provide value first, things change. People look at you different. It's all about perceived social status. You can be someone that has no money, but if you understand the problem deep enough that you're trying to solve for the other person and you bring it to them, then suddenly your value goes up and the value stays here. So if you're able to manage that, game over.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And one thing that I can add on to this is I actually have a student who landed a 175K job in 6 months. And everyone's looking at that salary and say, yeah, I want to learn to code. I want to land a 175K job in 6 months. But what they don't realize is in that 6 months, 0 to being a professional software engineer, he actually built a ChatGPT clone. So I'm not sure if you know, ChatGPT is not available in a lot of countries. So he built a SaaS, basically a ChatGPT clone that's available in their countries, and it was absolutely free. Wow. He had tens of thousands of users within like 1 or 2 days of even telling people. He just made a TikTok, yo, I just made this ChatGPT clone. You can use it. I'm a software engineer. I built it for free because I know a lot of people can't use it. Just use the link in my bio. It's completely free. His Discord has like 30,000 people in it. Now he's making affiliate deals with companies. Now he's making money. And then he landed a job at Amazon, and then Meta's also talking at hiring for $200,000 per year. And now he owns like a software company that's making hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. So these are the types of people. That's exactly what you need to do. You need to think of value. You can't be thinking about yourself all the time. You need to think of what can I do for other people to give them as much money as possible. 100%. And then I'll take a small cut of that. He's providing Meta millions of dollars. His brain is like insanely valuable. He says, all right, pay me $200K a year and it's a deal.
That's crazy, dude. But coming back to your story, why did you even decide to get into the education aspect of it if you were earning, I guess, a 6-figure salary and you're working at $1 billion company? I don't know. I guess people wonder that too, right?
Yeah, that's a really common question that I get. Why am I teaching other people? If I was making 160K a year at 21 years old, I'm making more than everyone in my family.
Yeah.
Why would I quit my job, take that extreme risk of starting my own software education company, when I can just like make 10K a month, literally working for like 2 or 3 hours a day, like in my bed. I mean, like my feet's up here, I'm like coding on my laptop, doing jack shit, making 160K a year. It's a brilliant question. So basically what I did was, once I landed that job, I told my friends and they're like, yo, like, how did you do that? I'm like, that's a good question. This is what I did. Bang. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And then I realized that my friends aren't the only one that needed help. Literally everyone freaking needed help. Like every course out there, it's either a scam or it's super expensive, like one or the other. So I'm like, all right, there needs to be a middle ground, something that's not $500 and like super scammy and cheap, and they don't give a shit about you. They don't guarantee you a job. They don't team you up with a top tech mentor, and something not $200,000 and takes 5 years. So there needs to be like a middle ground to that. So basically what I did is I created a TikTok account. I'm like, yo, this is exactly what you do. This is the exact steps you need to follow.
I was looking at that before coming here. You got like 300,000 followers on TikTok.
Yeah, so basically like my first video I posted, it went viral. I got like 100,000 followers within like a month. People are like, yo, like teach me how to do this shit. Like everything that everyone has been telling me so far is a lie. Like you've literally lived my life. You're literally living my dream. Like my day in the life video, it got 3-4 million views. People are like, yo, I want to live your life. You've done it in such a short amount of time, and everyone's telling me that's not possible. So I'm like, yo, everyone else out there, it's bullshit material. Like, oh my God, it gave me the biggest headache learning myself. No wonder why everyone gives up. So what I did is I said, yo, okay, this is what I'll do. I will train you. All right. And in under 12 months, which is the fastest guarantee in the world, in under 12 months, if you do not land a software engineering job with working with me, you don't only have to pay me nothing, but I'm actually going to pay you. So
That's a bold guarantee.
I'm giving students $1,000. I'm like, yo, if you don't land a job working with me in under 12 months, I know everything that I know works. If it doesn't work for some bizarre scenario, I'm going to pay you $1,000. And 2 out of like over 400 students I had to pay. But yeah, it's a obviously 99% success rate.
So we're talking about changing your life forever, right? A 6-figure income can change quite literally someone's life.
Yeah.
So we're talking about sacrificing 6 to 12 months worth of learning to then live like a king for the rest of your life and have options. Like that's priceless.
It's not even 6 to 12 months. I've seen people do it in, I'm not even kidding. This guy landed a job in 2 weeks after doing what I told him to do. 2 freaking weeks, bro. He landed an internship. Obviously, it's not like a 100K role, but 2 weeks, landed an internship. A few months later, he's at Microsoft.
Wow. That quick.
Yeah. The number one thing people are fucking up right now, they're going to university. Let's say they're 18 years old. Their mom's telling them to get into university, study software engineering, 4-year degree. Bro, the market's moving so quick right now.
Yep.
After 4 years, what's going to...
You're already outdated.
You're already
You missed 4 years of experience that could have like leveled you up much higher.
So
Yeah.
what I train people is, all right, forget about learning for 12 months before applying. I want my students apply to internships in 6 weeks. After 6 weeks, they're already applying to jobs. They're getting experience ASAP. So while the competition is doing like some BS university assignment, my students are working for a company, learning real world skills.
Smart. That's the best way to learn. Yeah, it's obviously the best way to learn isn't through a book, but actually through building your own products. So it's a very smart approach. Speak to me on that. So how did you decide to get into this? And what kind of like programs are these guys building?
That's a really good question. So how did I decide to get into software engineering?
No, into the coaching side of things.
Into the coaching side of things. Yeah. So as I said, like I made a TikTok account. Everyone was asking me, how do I do this? Can you please coach me? I'm getting people begging me to coach them. So I'm like, all right, I made a Discord server, around 40,000 or 35,000 people in record time. It was the fastest growing coding community in the world.
Wow.
So yeah, and then I started coaching people that wanted it. The people that came to me, they said, yo, David, I need your help. Can you please help me? I'm like, okay, I'll help you. I'll guarantee you get there if you want my help, unlike anyone else. So yeah, that's how I got into the coaching side of things. Like people were literally knocking down my door saying, yo, I need your help. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Yeah. I hate my job. I don't want to do this for the next 20 years. Please, can I?
And that's a pivot that you made in your career. You were an engineer for a year or two, and then you decided, hey, I'm going to now teach instead. So that's amazing. So you saw the demand, and then like, how did that decision-making process go for you to, take that? And I guess to you guys watching at home, there's a lot of opportunities that you have in life. This is a perfect one. David sees that. You saw an opportunity in front of you, and you took action on it, and there you are. So what was? Tell us about that frame of mind that allowed you to take advantage of that opportunity?
I just did the math. I'm like, all right, if I stay making 160K a year, how long is it going to take? Because I had stocks and stuff that were going up. Canva's like a massive company, multi-billion-dollar company. They're talking about getting to $500 billion valuation, which will make my shares at seven figures. So I'm like, all right, what's the odds of me getting to 5 million working at Canva? It's probably around 5%. What's the odds of me getting to 5 million, building my own software company, building an education company and a software company, or building multiple software companies, which I do have right now. So what's the odds of me getting to 5 million doing that? A lot higher than 5%. A lot higher than 5%. I was 21 years old, 22 years old. I'm like, all right, the worst case scenario, if this all fails, worst case scenario, all that failure is going to build me up into a super, super valuable engineer that if I go back to the market, instead of making 160K, I can ask for 300K. So I was never at risk. I could always come back to being a software engineer. I can always come back to working in the industry.
And that's what people don't understand. You can always go back to your current shitty situation. You can always go back.
Yeah, there's nothing to lose. That's what I tell my students. I'm like, yo, all right, your life sucks right now. I will help you.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
And the worst case scenario,
You go back to being a loser.
you just stay in the same spot. The worst case scenario, you're still a loser.
Yeah.
What would be the common mistake that you see people make over and over and over? Because you've spoken to a lot of people on the phone that are looking to potentially, work with you guys or work with other companies. And what is the one thing that you keep hearing from people that is really stopping them from really reaching to that pinnacle point of getting that six-figure income?
So are these absolute beginners that don't want to take the step? The number one thing I see, man, they just have no balls. They don't have the pain required to take the next step. So the ones that I realize have the pain, they're like, yeah, like I have nothing to lose, let's just do it. The most dangerous situation is if you don't have the pain in order to go to the next level. That's scary because you're going to be stuck where you are for the next 20 to 30 years doing the same thing, living paycheck to paycheck.
Then why did you take that risk? Were you ever scared?
I'm a pretty crazy guy. I take some crazy risks. I was making 160K a year and I lost $50,000 in the stock market in my first year of working.
Congrats.
Yes, yeah. So I'm a really big risk taker. I'm like, I think you said this before off camera. You want to get rich or die trying.
100%.
I'm the same. So I'm like, all right, I can either make 160K a year. I think early 20s is the best time to take risk. I don't have a wife. The worst case scenario, I can go back to living with my parents.
You have nothing to lose.
You have nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose. Why are you in Dubai though? You're from Sydney, you're from Australia and also American background. Like, why are you here?
Yeah, I think it's the same answer as both you boys, to be honest. Australia, America, like these people, they don't have the same mindset that it takes to get to the absolute top. I think all of us have the mindset where we want to get rich or die trying. And if you're around those types of people, you're going to shoot up. So just by moving to Dubai, like 2 months ago, I've already talked to so many like $50 million CEO, super successful PR CEO, just like how I'm probably opening up your eyes of how to get to 0 to 150K, 160K, 200K, or 100K. These people are opening up my eyes on how I can get to 50 million, 100 million, 200 million. So moving to Dubai, it really takes you out of that comfort zone because in Sydney, when I was making 10K a month at 21 years old, bro, all my friends were telling me, you've made it. Like, why are you working? You're making more than your entire family. You're making more than everyone I know.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a constant evolution. Like there's different stages, and I'm sure the three of us can all have our individual stories. And everybody watching at home, you always grow. I mean, starting from being a gamer to an IT developer to teaching to now moving to Dubai, and then it's just the constant evolution of the person of that character that you're playing at home. That's why you moved to Dubai, is you wanted to level up. You've been leveling up. You reached the top of what you thought you could. Now you want to challenge yourself and move on. And that's why we're all here.
And one thing I can't understand is the people that don't want to level up. The people are just happy staying in the shitty situation.
I just pretend they don't exist. They don't exist in my reality.
Yeah, they're super frustrating because I try to help them, but they just don't want help.
So, someone's got to flip the burgers.
So that's 0 to 100K. Let's say they're making 100K per year. They learn to code, or they're really, really good at sales. They made their 100K. How do they get to that 1 mil mark?
To get to the million and to get to 10 million is very different, but it requires one key thing: is people. People make the business, and this is the most important piece of my business that allows me to scale. I'm retiring soon as CEO, and I literally work 4 hours a week. 4 hour
4 hour work week.
So
I saw your Instagram post with the 4 hour work week book.
I love that book, and that's actually what I'm doing. I'm working 4 hours a week, and I have a very, very healthy income.
How does that feel?
It feels good. It feels good. But, I know I earned it. I earned it. And I did a lot of the things that David is talking about here, which is challenging yourself, rising in different opportunities, leveling up. To get to my first 100K took me a fucking long time. I thought I was going to have my first milli by 30, and I didn't get it until I was 32. And then after 32, it just went like parabolic after. So what would I get to get to the first million? I would look at who is the people you're going to war with? Who are the people you're fighting with that are going to help you achieve the targets that you've designed? You've got to lay out the blueprint. Like, you're going to war. You're a general. You're a captain. Which direction are you heading? Where exactly are you going? Figure out exactly, pinpoint specifically what that looks like, and then bring on the people on your team, on your crew, to help you accomplish that goal and get to that destination.
Once you're at $1 million, you have $1 million net worth, you've worked a few years as a software engineer. How do you get to the next level?
Yeah, so going back to the previous conversation, assessing your skill sets, assessing all of the things that you have that are your strengths. So you know how to code, you probably have a little bit of some good commercial experience, maybe some leadership experience. You know how the inner workings of a product company works. So you probably worked for one, and you worked for some corporations in the past, so you have that knowledge. Because even if you're working for a jump company, just because you're coding, you should be in other departments learning. You're learning about the sales team, you're learning about the marketing team,
the product.
You're scoping everything, you're gathering information, so that when you're ready to make your fucking jump, you've already gathered that information. Now, how would I do it? I would assess all of the assets, the attributes that I have. Okay, so I have cash. I've got $1 million cash saved up. That's a big asset. And I know how to code. You've got a network of people that you can recruit to your own company. And then hopefully you have an idea that you want to solve. Once you've solved for that, the critical idea, then you can recruit the people on to start to build it.
Right,
and as an IT developer, especially if we're talking about as an IT developer, you're taking a lot of the risk off. You can literally code the whole thing yourself. And
you don't need capital.
You don't need
You
capital.
are the capital.
So how do you build the network, Adam?
You're working for X company, they've taken you to trade shows, that you've met people in the industry, you've made the contacts on LinkedIn. So you're building your contacts over years in being in the corporate space. How do you find valuable assets within your network? Which is, you've worked with them, you know who's hardworking, you know who's producing, you know who's about it and who's not. Like, you just know. You might not have it, that's fine. But look at all the assets you have. Look at cash, experience, all these other assets. But hopefully you can recruit those people that are killers that can help you achieve your goal.
So you want these people, while they're working, while they're making around 100, 150K a year, you want them to be thinking of problems that they can solve while they're working. You want them to be aware of that, right?
Right.
I think it's called the piano effect. It's when you're listening to music, there's a piano in the background, you don't give a shit. But if you play piano, you'll be like, oh, I know how that guy's playing piano. So you only know if you're aware of it. So while you're working, you need to be aware of these business opportunities. And I can
bingo.
I can give you a great example. So there was an engineer at Canva who said, all right, Canva has this sick tool. It's to manage teams, but no other company has that. So let me build that.
Right.
So what he did was he went out of his way. He built the same tool that Canva uses for internally. And he's like, wait, all the other software companies that I worked at, they needed this tool. So what he did is he built it. He went to Y Combinator, which is America's top startup accelerator. They've launched companies like Stripe, Reddit, Airbnb, like top dogs. Bang. They gave him like $750K. They said, all right, build it. So now he has his own startup company from working at Canva as a software engineer.
Wow.
Just because he was aware that all the other companies he worked at didn't have this tool that Canva uses that's so efficient.
Wow. But that's what we were talking about before. Think outside the box too. Because you may get a 6-figure job, but then it may happen what happened to David. You saw an opportunity and you took it.
Always asking questions. Yeah. So you're doing a job, you're in marketing, figuring out what the sales team is doing, understanding their process, how are their sales calls doing. You've never done sales before, but learn. Figure out, get on the call with the top salesperson and see his script, see his flow, how he takes the calls, right?
Objections.
So that, you're doing that years and years and years. You're learning different disciplines, at least the basics that you're going to need. Because if you start a SaaS and or a software company or any other company, and you just have one discipline, you're going to get fucked up. You're going to get fucked up because that's all you know is that one specific slice of the entire pie. So at least build the core competency, be curious, always asking questions, reaching out to the sales team. Hey guys, can I just pick your brain? Can I sit in on some sales calls and being hyper curious, asking questions and building that knowledge base.
To get rich,
in that first 100K.
To get rich, do you think someone should go super specific into one field? Or do you think there should be a jack of all trades?
Specific.
They have to be specific.
I mean, I like specific better because as a professional, the first 100K, specifics generally pay more. You're going to command a much higher salary being specific while still capturing knowledge on the outside of your zone.
Yeah,
of
and
genius.
you're absolutely right. So the actual reason why jack of all trades, even though they know more, they get paid less, is because who are the companies that need jack of all trades? The ones that don't have a lot of money. They can't hire 10 people to do 10 different things. They want one person. They only have the money to hire one person to do everything. I teach my students to be specific. I teach them a specific coding skill.
What specific roles are you suggesting your software engineers take? Front end, back end, web development, mobile?
That's a great question. And it's honestly changing all the time. Right now, the best industry to get in, front end development. And the reason for that is because companies that hire front end developers don't require a degree. This is absolutely crucial. You can't learn a skill that has a high barrier to entry, because if you learn back end development, it's super sensitive. You're dealing with people's passwords. Like, I'm sure you don't want a shit back end developer making your infrastructure. You don't want
It's happened
yeah, and if
twice.
you paid the price, right?
Big time, millions.
Yeah, so you would hire a junior front-end developer, but no one wants to hire a junior back-end developer for that reason. They don't want to lose millions of opportunity costs. So what they do, and I have a lot of friends that own multi-decade millionaire SaaS companies. These people hire junior front-end developers that don't have a degree, and they hire experienced back-end developers. So what I teach is I teach front-end, and then while they're working, while they're getting experience, and you can easily land a job in 6 weeks. I was able to do it. I know hundreds of my students were able to do it. Once you land that job in 6 weeks, at that job, that's when you can learn back-end development and transition. So a lot of people think, all right, I don't want to do front-end for the next freaking 20 years. That's fine. You do it to get your foot in the door.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the best skill to get your foot in the door. And then you can expand to back-end, mobile, whatever you
you're gonna
want.
be at that point. You'll be a full stack, and as a full stack, you're much less replaceable, and you can command a much higher salary.
Yeah,
As
and
a full stack,
Exactly.
it's the ultimate.
I'm also teaching AI now. So AI is one of those skills that if you have that, then all these tech startup companies like that Devon, the company that built Devon, they just raised $21 million. Who are these people hiring? They're hiring people that know how to use AI. So in FES Institute, I'm actually teaching people how to use AI. And this is extremely important. So one of the projects we build, basically we use AI to scan their face. And then the AI detects skin blemishes, it detects shit that's wrong with their skin. And then it detects products to solve that problem. And it's an actual SaaS. So what it's going to do is it's going to get a product from Amazon. It's going to say, all right, you need this product, and it's going to be an affiliate link. So it's going to scan your face, tell you, all right, you have under eye circles, you have pimples. It's going to get a product from Amazon, all using AI, and then it recommends you it. So it's a proper SaaS. The owner of that SaaS will make money from the affiliates just for free. Like the product's free. You can scan your face.
Middleman.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Middleman. This is what you need. Here's a product you need. I'm going to make a cut, but this is genuinely what you need, and it will solve your problem. So this is exactly what you need to be doing to stand out in the crowd.
You briefly mentioned, and I don't want to let it go because I think it's really important. You mentioned opportunity cost.
This goes back to what we were talking about was Adam hiring a cheap backend engineer. So, all right, you can hire a backend engineer for a junior backend engineer that has no degree. You can hire them for $70K a year, $1 million.
Much less.
Yeah, so $60K, it costed you $1 million. So would you rather hire a backend engineer for $200K a year and not fuck up $1 million? Or would you rather risk a shitty backend engineer? But the worst that can happen in a front-end engineer's position, what, you change the color of the button's a different color. Like it's not game-breaking changes.
Fine. When he's back and he's more technical and sensitive, right?
Sensitive, extremely sensitive. They're both technical. Backend is extremely sensitive. You can't fuck it up.
So how about those people that are like, well, front end seems pretty simple, like I learn it anyway. Is that true or not? Like, can you really learn it anywhere?
I think if you learn it anywhere, if you think you can learn it for free, like 99% chance you're going to give up. There's so much information out there that's absolutely horrible. Like, because I did it, that it's very, very hard to learn it on your own. Extremely hard. It looks easy. Everyone's going to tell you it's easy. Everyone coming to me at FES Institute is like, yo, David, I tried to learn on my own and I almost gave up. Can you please help me get to the finish line? Trying to use free resources it takes a bunch of time. There's no specific roadmap that you can just follow step by step.
It's not a blueprint.
There's no blueprint. You have to figure everything out on your own. If you have the luxury, you have to get a mentor. Like, how important is a mentor to you?
Extremely, yeah.
Adam's one of my mentors.
Yeah.
It's much more important as an entrepreneur role. So like once you're starting the product itself, like once you're building your own company, a mentor is very critical.
Yeah, I agree. I think mentors are everything. I think I wouldn't be where I am today without a mentor.
So Adam was your mentor?
Yeah, he's still my mentor. Till
I
this day.
appreciate that.
questions, of all things in life, in relationships, friendships, business. Adam's, much older than me.
Making me sound old, bro.
If I know that I have no results, right, versus someone that does, I will never speak up against them. I will never give an opinion, even if I think differently, even if I think maybe their advice is wrong. I have no results. You understand that? Most people, most broke people, right? They think
Oh, that's
they
a
think-
golden nugget right there.
they think that they know everything, and that's the problem, right? I've got someone in my family who's been a multiple CEO of different mining companies, and transacted billions of dollars, sold mining companies, right, as a CEO and CFO. And one time I called him up, and I was like, "Oh, I feel my ego coming up. This person that was at a lower level than me was trying to tell me what to do." And then he goes, "How arrogant are you? You think so small?" He said to me, "You could take an idea from a homeless man
100%.
and you'll action it because
Yeah, there
you know
was-
you will."
There was a kid yesterday. We were having a networking event, and there was a guy who was 22. I think it was Nick
Yeah.
or something. And he was like, "Hey, have you thought about doing this with your social media management strategy?" I was like, "It's brilliant. Tell me more." Like, I'm 35. He's 22, and I'm sitting there like all ears listening to him. So that's
I think you have to listen. But I also think if they haven't achieved what you want to achieve, I think you have to
Right.
be very careful.
I'm very selective. Yeah, exactly. That advice, I'm taking it with a grain of salt, but like the person giving the advice is obviously you would filter that a lot less, a lot more,
Mm.
but
You have to take less weighting.
less weighting on it. But if it starts to make sense,
I'll tell you the flip side of things. The other side of things is if they haven't achieved what you want to achieve and they're telling you something to do. For example, I wanted to get into front-end development. I had my friends say, "Yo, there's WordPress out there. There's no code solutions. Don't learn front-end." He didn't have a job. He didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. If I listened to him, I wouldn't be where I am today. What I did listen to is a Google software engineer. And the Google software engineer is telling me to learn front-end development. So you have to weigh the things. All right, Google software engineer, he's who I want to be.
Yeah.
I'm going to weigh him at like 90% and this guy at like 5%.
right,
And obviously took this guy's opinion.
100%. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's smart. Results versus not results, So, but yeah, definitely having good mentors and people to guide you in any step is.
How do they find them? How would you recommend? Because mentors is super important. Like I
Yeah.
think they can take you from 0 to
Yeah.
100 million. If
There's-
obviously you don't have the same mentor the whole journey, but
Yeah, there's a
how
lot
do
of
they find it?
topics we can talk about.
I think even books to get started if you have no access to pay someone. Books is the first mentor that I had. Robert Kiyosaki was one of the first books that I ever read in entrepreneurship.
you get into their brain, you see how they operate.
And what was the name of the book? I think
Yeah,
Think
yeah.
and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
If you don't have the resources, start reading.
So let's say they start their business. How do they make money?
Number one, just like anything, understand the market. Understand who's ready to buy your product before you start building it. That's the first thing I would do, is make sure that if I'm going to build something, is there someone on the other side before I go through all of that pain, I go through all this shit to build it, is someone going to pay me, and is someone going to pay me well and consistently? So the first thing is market research, understanding the market, understanding the product, understanding the pain, and building that perfect solution for it. And that applies to any business out there, whether that's tech or any other business out there, right? So the first thing I would do is talk to the customers that have the pain, understanding the pain out there, understanding that gap in the market that needs to be fixed. You don't need to reinvent the entire wheel. You don't need to just do some robust solution that's going to change the fucking world. It has to be 1 degree better, just a little bit better than everybody else, a little bit better, and that'll take off, especially in a niche. And level of confidence, there's no sure thing. There's no 100% in anything.
Yeah.
But at least you can have solid fucking ground. When I built Smarter Contact, when I built my SaaS, I had a wholesaling business. I was flipping properties. I was buying and selling homes for a long time. And I didn't move from my real estate wholesaling business until I had a solid foot on the ground. And we were making like 30, 35K a month in my software business. I was like, shit, I'm onto something.
When your income matches-
Let me put the wholesaling and real estate business on pause. I'm going to go full force on this. My thought pattern is have some solid ground, understanding before you get into a business, who's the customer on the other end, who's going to buy it, and are they willing to pay me consistently for that product? And then I'm going to go through all the steps of assessing the skills that you have. We talked about assessing your strengths, assessing your weaknesses. What do you have? What do you not have? Build up all the strengths that you have. If you have the ability to build a product on your own, fucking fantastic. If you suck at marketing, if you could suck at sales, you're not an operations person, you're not a CEO type, fine. There's people for that. Make the phone calls to the customers who you think will buy it and ask them, hey, will you buy this? Sell a few of them, and then you can recruit the person that fills the gaps that you don't have. There's operational gaps and marketing gaps. You can bring that person in once you've got a valid product and a proof of concept and demand in the marketplace.
If you're starting a business and you want to get sales and you want to get your name out and you want people to take you seriously, you can't listen to people around you that are trying to put you down or trying to put you in a negative mindset because you're trying to give it a go. Like, we all started our businesses. We're pretty delusional, man. Like, we literally had an idea in our brain, we turned it into reality, and then turned that into cash. Like, that's literally what we did. And that's what people have to do, but it's hard.
Systematic delusion, I would say. Systematic delusion, like delusion with a plan. Delusion not with a blindfold. Delusion with a systematic plan of action.
Yeah, people think you're crazy. Like if you quit your job and say, all right, I'm going to build a $50 million software company.
But it wasn't like that for Adam. I think like it wasn't. Did you wanted to build a $50?
Like, did you see the vision when you started?
From the
I was looking at the multiples. The first thing, I had no idea what a fucking SaaS was. I was like, SaaS, what is that? I had no idea. But I did see the multiples. I was like, okay.
It's a software as a service for those people watching.
Yeah, so it's a subscription, like Netflix, right? You guys all use Netflix. It's like a monthly subscription. Every single month you pay for software that solves problems. But I was looking at the multiples. I was like, wow, if I can get this to $1 million a year, then I can sell it for 7, 8, maybe up to $10 million. Perfect. I was trying to get to $1 million a year. And that was always my goal, get to $1 million a year. And we far, far, far exceeded that. Similar to your story, which I really liked your story about how you started as an engineer and then you built and you pivoted to the education space. Giuliano, I know you've had your similar situations in the past. That's all I did. And that's literally the advice that we want to give you guys at home watching is opportunities come.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity of, hey, let me think of an SMS application that I can build for myself to make an extra $20,000 on my own deals. And I took advantage of that. I built it. I went online. I found some super cheap developer to build it for me. It took off. But if I didn't have the balls to go take action on that, we would not be here right now. The same for you, same for you.
Yeah.
So that's why we're here. That's why we're in Dubai. We're not here to flex on anyone. We're not here to show off. We're really just showing you guys what it takes. So when you have that opportunity that God gives you, that life gives you, seize it. Take it. And I have this theme in my life and this really important concept, which is shots on goal. Whatever that sport is, let's say football as an example, the team that has the most shots on goal is generally going to score the most goals. But you take one shot and you quit, what are the chances you're going to score a goal with one shot? Just be the guy or be the gal that's taking 1 million shots on goal, strategic, well-timed, precision shots on goal. And when they come and you're just set up in the right spot, are you ready to take the shot?
You're at the finish line. What's next? Where do you go after that?
Yeah. Well, we are in Dubai, and someone does own that yacht.
It's not you.
It's not me.
So you gotta keep
No, I feel poor. I'm not like rich, but I'm well enough. Certainly in a place where I'm comfortable. My family's comfortable. I can buy supercars. I can, I'm not private jet money yet, but I'm an iPhone. I have freedom. I certainly have like freedom.
$30,000 watch.
Yeah, gets by. Yeah, it's yeah. You're flexing on me now. What's next? At least for me, and some people like to build businesses. For me, it's freedom. I genuinely enjoy freedom. I enjoy spending time with my friends, doing the things I want to do. Next, inspiring the next generation of successful people in the world. This is why we're here.
Yeah.
We're not doing this. We're not making money from this podcast. We're not monetizing. We're like just here because we genuinely like to see the next. We want to see that 25-year-old guy or gal that is starting a business that wants to grow. So that's a big part of it for me. Living life on my terms has always been a motto that since I've known you, Giuliano, you've always known about me, of just doing what the fuck you want, when you want, where you want, with who you want. Anyone that fucks with you, tell them to fuck off. I literally have no problem telling people to fuck off at this time of my life. If you disrespect me in any way possible, it's just goodbye.
So you explain how you feel. Is it complete freedom? Like what is it?
It's getting to that place, especially with no work and the income is getting to that place.
Is it boring?
Freedom. No, it's awesome.
He's like Jules. what are you doing? Come and see me.
You still need to make money.
I'm like, I'm trying to go to the next level, man. I can't come and see you now.
It's fucking awesome. Like it's awesome because yeah, I mean, I generally like building businesses, and I've done it for a long time, but I've done it for a long enough time that I just didn't enjoy it once it got to a certain level. So yeah, I mean, there's things that I'd rather do, like focus on just like, I don't know, climbing mountains and learning how to scuba dive. You know, just doing cool shit, like doing like cool shit that I've always wanted to do with my personal time.
People always talk about, becoming an icon and being remembered forever and whatnot. And I was listening to Alex Mercy, which you brought him up before. I think
Yeah.
it's great. And he was talking about how after 3 generations, literally no one's going to remember who he is. He's okay with it. And that's why he wants to push as hard as he can. So he can remember himself for the
Yeah.
last days of his life, what he's done up to this point. And I feel like a lot of people should remember that, our life will end eventually. So you might as well give it a good crack.
Wow, that's freaking powerful.
Might as well give it a
Deep.
good crack.
Deep.
And I think the number one thing that pushes me is the thought of me on my deathbed. Am I going to feel like a loser, or did I achieve everything that I really, really deep down wanted to achieve? And the thought of me being on my deathbed, I always wanted to start a successful business. I always, like, ever since I was 10 years old, I was telling my mom, I want to make money while I'm sleeping. The thought of me not doing that, it's called the anti-vision. And I think it's extremely powerful. If you think of what you don't want to happen when you're on your deathbed, you just feel like some inner energy that comes for free. And you're like, all right, let's get this shit done. I don't want to be 80 years old. I don't want to be on my deathbed. And I didn't achieve what I wanted to achieve. You only got one shot in life. Are you going to be a loser your whole life, or are you going to achieve your goals?
To me, it's so clear what ultimate failure looks like to me in my life. And
What is it?
Not being a dad.
Hmm.
To me, that's like ultimate failure.
I thought you said being a dad. I'm like, wait, what?
Not being a father, that for me would
Yeah.
be like ultimate failure.
Why?
Above money, above
Why?
everything else. Because I feel like I'd be a great dad. And I'd love to have a little kid to run around and raise and show him my morals, my values, and for him to eventually have his own family and be there on my
That's
deathbed.
brilliant.
Simple. Procreation, natural human instinct,
Boy or girl?
Either. Don't care.
I can see you with a little boy just running around playing soccer. Yeah.
Question for you, David. If you were on your funeral, what would your best friend say about you?
Insane. He was insane. I'm a super extreme person. I was addicted to video games as a kid. I didn't want to get off video games. I was literally playing it 14 hours a day. I was better than all my friends at any game that I played. I was the top. I'm a super extreme person. I don't do anything half-assed. When it comes to learning to code, this is insane. So when I was working at Canva, I started off as an intern there. While every other intern was going out for drinks, playing Among Us on their phone because it was lockdown, I was coding. I was finishing my intern project. There was only 3 people that got a return offer immediately. You didn't need a degree to come work for us as a grad. 3 out of 30 people, and I was one of those people. I did the things that everyone else wasn't willing to do. For example, I don't drink caffeine after 12 p.m. I don't want to fuck up my sleep. I sleep at the same time every single day. I think in terms of human performance, I'm extreme. Like, I have a sleep coach. I paid him like $10,000 to fix my sleep. So
Wow.
yeah,
You have a sleeping coach?
I had one. Yeah,
How does it even work? Like, how do you get coached sleeping more? How does that work?
bro, there's so much shit. So basically, the number one thing that I learned from him is you got to sleep at the same time every single day. It's actually fascinating. God did an amazing job at creating this universe. When the sun comes up in the morning, that morning sunrise, there's a blue ray that comes from that sun shine that hits your eyeball and tells your body's circadian rhythm that it's time to wake up. And that gives you energy, by the way. So that's why if you read anywhere, it's super, super important to get sunlight in your eyes, because it tells your body that, yo, it's time to make some money. You know what I mean? It's time to get some food. On the flip side of things, the sunset, it's an orange ray. It's not blue anymore. It's an orange ray that tells your body that it's time to wind down.
Never knew that.
So that's why, have you heard of blue light is like really bad for you before bed? Have you heard that before?
Yeah, of
like
course,
there's
yeah.
like blue light blocking glasses and
Right.
shit.
So the blue light is generally emitted in the morning,
Exactly.
and the orange light is emitted
Exactly.
in the evening.
And what's super interesting is even if you have blue light in your eyes at night from the downlight from your ceiling, from your phone, if you look at the sunset, those orange rays are so powerful to your body's circadian rhythm that you can still sleep on time even with the blue light, because the sun just overrides the blue light from the artificial light. So drinking water in the morning and looking at the sun on sunrise and sunset, that will give you the biggest boost for sleep. And my sleep efficiency is like 95, 98%.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
This has been fun, boys. I've had a lot of fun talking to you guys, learning more from David. Thank you for coming on, dude, and sharing your story. It's been
Thanks so much for having me. Thanks for the questions.
Yep.
And yeah, the Low Value Podcast, guys. Stay tuned for the next episodes.
the low value podcast where we do low value things with low value people, clearly low value places.
Low value locations.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Peace.
Signing off.